Jebuth! Warriors won the NBA Finals, and it was wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen. It wasn't the worst, but I remember when it was magical, when it meant something, when it was stupendous and exhilarating, and when I watch, that's what I thirst for, but I never get it. Ever. Whatever, it's just a game, right? But it means so much! Whoa! I guess if it was my team, maybe. I just like watching the Celtics lose. I just like watching the Celtics lose. Just watching the Celtics lose. Baby barf, Boston Green. Baby barf. Whatever, dude. Fucking dudes from Boston are all fucking pissed right now. Fucking, they were leaving with like a minute left, just fucking bailing out the back. Like, I'm not gonna fucking watch this shit. Hell no. Speak from your heart. That's what I say. Regardless of the consequences, speak from your heart. And use that as a guiding point to be the best that you can be while speaking from the aorta. I think things are done nowadays without that in mind. Such as your pretty little online life. You do things that aren't from your heart. Maybe it's your topless. Maybe it's your fancy dinners, your extravagant cars, or brand new clothes. But you do things not from your heart. And if your heart involves a Lamborghini, you're not watching this anyway because you don't give a fudge-sicle since Bill Cosby gave up on the popsicle. Speak from your heart. I was reading a poetry book by Wallace Stevens. Selected poems. And when I read poems, I like to share them. So, let's find a random one. Oh, this is perfect. How to live, what to do. Last evening, the moon rose above this rock, impure upon a world unpurged. The man and his companion stopped to rest before the heroic height. Coldly the wind fell upon them, in many majesties of sound. They that had left the flame-freaked sun to seek a sun of fuller fire. Instead, there was this tufted rock, massively rising high and bare, beyond all trees, the ridges thrown, like giant arms among the clouds. There was neither voice nor crested image, no chorister nor priest. There was only the great height of the rock, and the two of them standing still to rest. There was the cold wind and the sound it made away from the muck of the land that they had left. Heroic sound, joyous and jubilant and sure. So this dude, he's a stud, right? I guess, he's dead now. I had never really heard of him. I saw this book, I picked it up, wanted to read it, and here it goes. He was a lawyer, and he wrote poems. And his verbiage is interesting because he does something I like to do when I write. He uses, like, the fuller or the fullest or something like that. But, like, he also has, I think he speaks German and Latin. And he brings some of that in here, so it's kind of hard to understand. He uses weird words like that right there. Chorister. I've never even heard of that word. I don't even know what it means. But I guess it's like somebody who does chores. Chorister? I guess. I don't know. But it's interesting. It's cool. It's not really rhymey, which is fun. I like. And there's some really long ones, too. There's one that's like 30 pages or something. And it's broken into stanzas. And it's interesting. It's good to just see different forms of poetry. And this is definitely great, good, and he just knows his craft. I would suggest reading it if you're a fan. I would suggest reading it if you're looking to expand your mind. Here's another one. Let's read it like a rapper. And I told her the jar. I placed a jar in Tennessee, and round it was upon a hill. It made a Sullivanly wilderness round the hill. The wilderness rose up to it. The sprawled around no longer wild. The jar was round upon the ground, and tall and out of port and air. It took dominion everywhere. The jar was gray and bare. It did not give a bird a bush, like nothing else in Tennessee. So you can't really rap it, but you can, right? So it's good. Life is motion. This is a goodie. In Oklahoma, Bonnie and Josie, dressed in calico, danced around a stump. They cry, woohoo! Woohoo! Celebrating the marriage of flesh and air. And stuff like that, right? Flesh and air. The marriage of it is something that we constantly do when we put our skin outside. And then he put it into poetry. And now I read it and telling you about it. And that is the beauty of it. Whoa. Speak from the heart. Whatever, dude. Don't get too passionate about these things. Okay, so it's movie time here at Podcast Jebuth. And we have an interesting one here. 7 Days in Entebbe. The most daring rescue mission of all time. This is kind of cool, actually. Intelligent and engrossing thriller. So basically, it's based on a true story. Where am I? There I am. It's based on a true story of a hijacking in, I guess, from Germany to France. It's like Air France. And they take it to Entebbe and hold all the crew and passengers hostage for 7 days. So, it's kind of cool. I don't know. I liked it. I never even heard of it. Just watched it. An act of terrorism leads to one of the most daring rescue missions ever attempted when a commercial flight is hijacked in 1976 and diverted to an abandoned terminal at Entebbe Airport in Uganda. The terrified passengers become bargaining chips in a deadly political standoff. As the likelihood of finding a diplomatic solution fades, an elite group of commandos hatch a fearless plot to rescue the hostages before time runs out. Daniel Bruhl, Rosamund Pike, Eddie Marsan star in this riveting thriller inspired by true events. And it's cool, dude. I don't know. I'd peep it out. I liked it. And I saw this classic. And I start counting. This is from, I believe, 1970. And it's kind of like a thriller. It's from David Green. And it's filmed in London or outside of London. And it basically is like a serial killer movie, right? But it's also a coming of age story. So this girl's like, she's adopted, but she's in love with her older brother, and she thinks he's a serial killer, but he's just having an affair with some chick from like a psych ward. And, you know, it comes down to this abandoned house that she grew up in and meets the serial killer at the end. Bah! Bah! Had to, right? They had to meet. That's how it goes down. In the world of the nightmare, a little blood adds color. Plenty of mood and menace. As a young Wynn comes of age, a psychotic killer of teen schoolgirls stalks her hometown, which is rapidly transforming from an antiquated village to a forward-looking new town. Is the murderer Wynn's much older foster brother George? The conflicted Wynn is deeply in love with George, but also fears that he is guilty of the horrific crimes. Director David Green imbues Audrey Erskine Lindpop's unsettling story with sensitivity, social commentary, and a haunting ambiance. So, nails it. Has a really killer soundtrack. I guess the dude who did the soundtrack was like a pioneer in electronic music, so that's always cool. And his name was Basil something or another. I don't freaking remember now. Let's see here if we have it. Basil Kirchen. Music composed by Basil Kirchen. And this is a Fun City edition, and I would highly suggest it. Boom. Fun City Edition always does good stuff. They've never let me down, and I will continue to watch anything that they put their name on. So this is one of them. I think this is like the third thing or so that they put out. And then, you ever look for a movie that changes your life? That just makes you just tickle? I'm always looking for it. I think I mentioned it here. And this one came in a form which I did not think I was going to get in that form. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Starring Ben Stiller. And this is a freaking gem, dude. It's rated PG, so right away I'm always apprehensive. Ben Stiller directs and stars in the classic story of a daydreamer who escapes his anonymous life by disappearing into a fantasy world filled with heroism, romance, and adventure. When his job, along with that of a co-worker, is threatened, Walter takes action in the real world, embarking on a journey more extraordinary than anything he could have imagined. So, he works at Time Magazine. It's going out of business. He loses a photo. It has, freaking, Patton Oswalt's in it. Sean Penn. The girl, Kirsten Wiig. She's awesome. Gorgeous. And it's just just nails it, dude. It's just like this dude with a super boring life and this crazy imagination, and he's got to go find this thing, and he's freaking skydiving into the ocean with sharks, and he's freaking skateboarding down the fucking Alps and fucking Himalayas, and I don't know, just hit a heartstring. So, if you had never heard of it like me, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, it was actually a short story, 3 pages, 2.5 pages, in a magazine, in the New Yorker in like the 30s or 40s, and I guess it has an older movie as well. And it's just so amazing when you can have 2.5 pages turn into something special, right? Even 70 years later or something like that. It's fucking insane, right? And then I was pleasantly surprised. Get Out, directed by Jordan Peele. I had never seen it. I was apprehensive, and it was freaking awesome. It psychological, terrifying, secret society, freaking just good stuff, and the man is a genius. No wonder everybody's talking about it. So I would say it's an original, grandly tense, in tune with its time. Definitely has a ton of political stuff. It has, you know, the brainwashing and secret societies, auctioning of people to switch bodies, and if you haven't seen it, dude, it's freaking awesome, and it's cool because it's from Jordan Peele, and he's one of the kings of comedy, right, and just killing it in the horror genre. He's got a new movie coming out too, Nope. So nailed it. I wonder. I'm guessing that's good. It has the same dude in it, and then Us. I haven't seen that either, so I'm sure that's fucking awesome. You just tell his flavor, his love for horror, and his ode. He does a bunch of odes to like The Shining, and almost like Friday the 13th. It opens or Halloween or something. Like it's great, fantastic. That being said, speak from your heart. Try your hardest, do your best, stay humble, stay gracious, read more books, podcast, Jebuth.